Susan told me about your group.
Oh, okay.
She's my assistant. She's the one who basically knows and does everything that I can't do. And her name is Susan Dunlap.
You should come with us.
and she planned for this this experience that we're having right now.
All right. Okay. Well, I thought what I'd start with, because first of all, my name is Anne. It's 5:03, so I'm going to go ahead and get started. My name is Anne, and I started this travel club in 2006. And I didn't intentionally do that. I really wanted to join a club to find people that wanted to go on the same kind of stuff I wanted to go on. I've traveled my whole life since, I was in high school. I was a French student, so I went on French field trips, blah, blah, blah. But my husband does not like to travel. I have one friend that will travel, but she will only go to Italy and Las Vegas. So, that's very limiting. I wanted to see the pyramids, and she's like, I have no desire to go there. And I wanted to go, to Galapagos. Where is that? No, I'm not going, so it was like, okay, I want to go to all these places, and I didn't have anyone to do. So I did a search on Meetup, and I live in the western suburbs of Chicago, and I didn't feel like driving downtown to the Loop to go to meetings. So the Meetup says, why don't you start one? And I thought, well, who in the world is even going to come if I start one, but I'll try it. So I set up a Meetup. The first meeting had 6 people, then 10, then da. Now I have 1,500. So it's worked out pretty well. I work part-time as a travel agent. So I'm being paid by the hour to research and do things. So anyway, so that's kind of where I came at. And I thought, well, I'll just post a trip and see what happens. And boom, the first big trip was Egypt. We did some small trips to Istanbul and things like that. And, 28 people wanted to go. And I thought, oh, this is great. So then during the trip, they said, what about trips? So then we did that. So that's kind of how this evolved. And I think what sets our trips apart is that what I do is I first of all, it's somewhere that I really want to go, and I want to bring, and I've always had, my parents were teachers. I've always had, I've always been a bit of a leader. And what sets us apart is I try to take a trip of something I want. Now, I'm a big animal lover, so if I can get an animal in there, that's going to happen, whether it's, the Arctic and getting a picture of a polar bear, or kayaking with penguins in Antarctica. That I'm all over it. Those are kinds of things that I really enjoy. What does set us apart, when we went to Iceland, I worked with the Blue Lagoon, because right after we landed, I thought, boy, we're all going to be, been stiff and everything. So I arranged massages for us at the Blue Lagoon on rafts. It ruined our hair, but other than that, little things like that. When we went on a safari in Kenya, I contacted Daphne Sheldrick's, that wildlife trust that she has, all the orphan baby elephants. You see it on TV now, but this was in 2000, I don't know what, but it was fairly unknown. She said, well, if you make a decent contribution, we'll give you a private tour. So we made a decent contribution. And next thing you know, here we are with all these little baby elephants all over us, and they're like touching us and pulling things out. That's my favorite animal. So I was in heaven. Other things that we do, we went to Lake Como, and we kayaked on Lake Como. All the speedboats are knocking us over, but I mean, I try to throw in, and they're optional. If we go to France or Italy, if you've seen that show, Stanley Tucci, Finding Italy, we have those kind of experiences on our trips. Oftentimes, especially Italy, because Italy is so food oriented. When he went to Parma, we've already been to Parma. When he went to Modena, where they make the famous vinegar, we did that already. I mean, and we're doing the same trips over again because new people like you weren't with us back then. And so we're adding. I tend to like the exotic things. I try to do, if you see a trip like the Silk Road, and we're going to Uzbekistan, and we're going to roast marshmallows at that big Darvaza gas crater, that's me. So I'm in it. So that's one of the things that sets us apart. We obviously do the must-sees. Like if we're going to spend a week in Rome, you're going to see the Colosseum, but you're also going to get outside and maybe take a train to one of the little medieval villages. So I try to, when you go to London or Stonehenge, we don't just walk along the rope. I get behind, up by the stones so that we're up there. We went to Easter, our last trip was Easter Island, and that was last February. And boy, we just got that in before COVID. So that's kind of one of the things that sets us apart is I try to add something unique on every trip. I think one thing I'd like to do is share my screen with Meetup, because the Meetup site is really glitchy sometimes. And unless you know how to navigate it, well, clearly you're here, so you figured out how to get here. I'd like to, before I share my screen, just get your name and the city where you're from, where you are right now, so I can kind of have a feel of who's here tonight. So Tom, let's start with you. Where are you located?
I'm located in West Palm Beach in Florida.
Okay, so you're well, this background is clearly fake, but it's probably
you beat me to the punch. I was just going to say, since last time I was in Chicago, the climate change has certainly turned for the better in your area. If that's Chicago, that's not the Chicago I remember.
We went from -30 to almost 70 on Tuesday, so yeah, it's crazy. Okay, Karen, I know you're up, and I think you might be muted. So why don't you introduce yourself? And
oh, yes. Hi, everyone. I'm from Loves Park, which is next to Rockford, Illinois.
okay, so thank you. Sherry White. I see you guys as a row, so I'm just gonna go across the row and ask where you are. Sherry, you're on mute. And we just
can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. As of January of this year, I live in Chicago. Just moved up from Richmond, Virginia to be closer to my daughter and son-in-law. So I'm in the Ukrainian Village, Humboldt Park area.
Okay. All right. Excellent. All right. Denise, what about you?
I am also in the Chicago area, actually the northwest suburbs, up around near Algonquin.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I have a son in Elgin, so not too far.
Yeah.
Okay.
Denise, you might be helped or help us by tilting your computer down a little bit, because you cut off at the chin line. There you go.
Okay. There. Better?
Now we can see you.
Okay. I just see Kreutzer, and I have a feeling that's a last name.
Yes,
So,
my first name is Mark. I live in the Lakeview neighborhood of Chicago.
okay. What neighborhood? The Lakeview?
Lakeview?
Okay. Well, I love Chicago. Oh my gosh. Okay, awesome. And Chip, you're on mute. You might want to unmute.
Sure, I'll just press my space bar. I'm in Prescott, Arizona.
Oh, you're in Arizona. Wow. Okay. So we are all over. Okay, Pam.
I'm in Wisconsin.
Okay, Wisconsin. All right. And Andy Kaluzna. I see
Hi,
you.
I'm here. I'm in Chicago in the northern suburbs, Deerfield.
Okay, Chicago northern suburbs. Well, welcome. Kathleen. Yeah.
You know me, I'm on the wrong meeting.
I know you are. Kathleen went with me to Bhutan and
And the Arctic Circle and a lot of places. I think I'm going to drop off. I think I got on too
and I'll see you. Yeah, I'll see you.
Okay.
That one starts at 6.
She's wonderful, everybody. Travel with her. I love her. Take care.
Thank you. Okay, I'm surprised to see her here because she's going all over the place with me. But anyway, okay, so let's see. I did Chip. Pam, did I just do you?
There are two
Wait,
Pams. I think
There's
you
two
must-
Pams. Yep.
All right, we'll do you.
If you're ready, I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota.
Oh, Minnesota. Okay. Now, I have not been to Minnesota. St. Paul. Is that connected with Minneapolis?
Yes.
Okay, I have a lot of members up there that what we do when we go on trips, because I fly out of O'Hare, what I try to do is have a connecting city. If you're not in Chicago, like Robin's in Houston, say we're going to Mongolia, which I'm hoping, we'll probably take Turkish Air and we'll stop in Istanbul. Well, I'll go from Chicago nonstop to Istanbul. Robin will go from Houston to Istanbul, and then we'll meet him at the gate to Ulaanbaatar. So, so we try to, and like for the Amazon, we're all connecting through Miami. So the Chicago people, the Madison people, the Arizona people, we all meet in Miami at the gate. And then we arrive together that way. So that's kind of how we're able to be, I mean, we are a travel club, so we're all over. Okay, well, thank you, Pam. All right, did I do Andy? Andy, are you I'm going to do you again because every time somebody joins, you guys all get shuffled. And I did not know. Okay, Andy.
You did me. I'm in the northern suburbs of Chicago.
Okay, northern suburbs. Okay. And Carol.
I'm in the western suburbs of Chicago, St. Charles.
Oh, okay. I'm in Wheaton.
Yep, just down the road.
Okay, yep. So that's St. Charles. Okay, and Pam, I think I did you once. But let's do you again. You're in Loves Park?
No, I'm in Slinger, so it's just north of Milwaukee.
Okay, Slinger, Wisconsin. All right. Okay, Sue has just joined us. Sue, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay.
I'm in Minneapolis, Minnesota.
Oh, okay. You know what? I should open a Minneapolis chapter because I've got a lot of people in Minneapolis. Just love them. I like it because their weather is even worse than mine. But I shouldn't say that. I happen to be one of those weirdos that loves the cold weather. So, all right. Well, welcome everybody. I am now going to share my screen. Now I have a meetup called My Travel Meetup. We go places, and then My Travel Meetup North, because I have the one in the western suburbs and one in the northern suburb, or, the northern area. And both of them are state, for all the states. So I'm going to share my screen and just show you a few tricks that I've learned. How many people are in the My Travel Meetup, the first one? Okay, raise your hand. That is the one to be in because that's where all the first trips get posted. And a lot of times if they fill up a lot of trips fill up really fast. The Amazon River Cruise filled up like that. My recommendation is if you really want to do it, get on the wait list because we plan our trips so far in advance, a lot can happen. And there's inevitably a cancellation toward the end. The other one I haven't even taken the deposits yet, but it's pretty full too, is the Glass Igloos in Lapland, the Northern Lights trip. So everything goes first off of My Travel Meetup. So I recommend getting on that one. And that's the one, it's easy to find. If you're not on it, join it. I'll approve you right away because I know you now. And I'm going to share my screen just to show you how to do just a little bit. Now let's see, there it is. Okay. Now let's go right here. I'll tell you, I was never very technological, but I am learning. Okay, so this is the home page. If you were to, okay, how do we get rid of this thing? It's blocking my view. Okay, all right. I'm going to put it over here. So if you were to go up in your bar and just type My Travel Meetup, meetup.com. I bought that domain name so that we'd be easier to find and hit enter. It's going to take you to the home page because it's an easier way to do it. Now the first page, here's our newcomer meeting right here. As you can see, that's what we're at right now. Immediately after this meeting, I have a get to know you meeting, which I thought would be a good idea because you guys are new. So if you have the time to stay and just, it's the same, you just stay where you are. It's the same link for both meetups. If you have the time to stay, then you'll talk to some of the people that are in the meetup that have traveled and you can, hear what they have to say. Now, when you want to sign up for something, it's always listed under events. So you would click on events. And here's all the upcoming stuff. Now, it only goes so far. Well, today it's doing better. Sometimes it's so slow, it doesn't load quick enough, but you just have to keep going. See, we're already at April 30th of next year. We keep going, keep going, keep going all the way like that. And then let's say you find a trip that you want to do. So I'm going to do Mongolia and Siberia. There it is. So you read the description, read the whole thing carefully. Now this trip is going to probably change if Mongolia is open. So this trip will probably change a little bit, but if this trip interests you, then you go to RSVP wherever that is. Oh, I'm in the leadership one. Okay, you RSVP yes for it. If it's full, get on the wait list. And that's how, and then to get back to the main page over here, just click on My Travel Meetup. It takes you right back to the home page. Okay, so that's that. We have a lot of photos if you want to look. I'm mainly going to talk about the trips. At the end, I'm going to tell you, because of COVID, we've had a lot. I'm going to stop sharing. Is everybody clear on that? Do you see how you sign up for stuff? Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to stop sharing that. Stop. Okay, now we're back. And I'm going to talk about what happens after you sign up for a trip. It's holding your spot for a short amount of time. You need to confirm it, because I have one lady that has signed, she's been signing up for my trips since like 2010. She has never gone on a trip. She likes to sign up, but she doesn't like to actually get her deposit in. And that's where the problem is. Once you sign up, you should call the number at the bottom of the meetup, because I don't lead all of them. I lead the ones that I want to do. And if it's a repeat of a trip, somebody else may lead it, either Terry or Regina, or, you know, there's a few of us leaders. I'm in charge of this meetup. I started it. But the next thing you do, if you decide you want to go and you're able to get a space, is call me. And then I will ask you for your name as it appears on your passport, blah, 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 blah. We'll discuss about insurance. If you're ready to go, then you'll give me your credit card deposit or mail a check or whatever. I recommend credit cards. And then I take down all that information, and then I call the vendor, whoever the supplier is. And I said, please sign up this person. Here's their credit card number, charge them the $250 deposit or the $500 deposit, and add insurance. So that's how you know you're going. Once you're deposited in, you guaranteed you're going. Okay, so the first step is to sign up on Meetup. The second step is to call me. And I can't stress that enough. I had, a whole family. They're like, well, where's my name? And I'm like, good grief, that was a year ago. So anyway, now how do we handle airfare? Airfare is never included on our trips because we book them over a year out. When you're doing a group and you want a specialized itinerary, you have your heart set on something, I like to book it over a year out. The airlines don't have their schedules yet, so I couldn't price the air if I wanted to. So what I do is I say, it's up to you. If you want to use your miles and book your own air, perfect. If you want to go on Expedia or use some special card, go for it. If you don't want to do any of those things and you really want to be on the exact same flight I'm on, and you're not that good at booking your own air, I will do it for you. Okay, so, and typically what I do is when it gets within 7 months of the trip, that's when the airfares start coming out. I shop around, I look for the least amount of connections at the best price. So I would prefer one stop or a nonstop. If there's a nonstop and it's not ridiculously more expensive, I'm going to go for the nonstop. But there aren't nonstops to a lot of places, especially now. So what I do is I book myself, and then I will send out an email and say, okay, everybody, these are my flights. If you want to book it using miles, get on it right now. If you want to book it on, Expedia or whatever your favorite, if you're used to booking your own air and you want to do it, go for it. And then send me a copy of your itinerary so that I know where you are, because I'm kind of organized. I like to keep everybody, I like to know where I'm going to link up with you. And if otherwise, 80% of people type back to me, just book me, use the credit card on file. That's what most people do. Anyway, so that's how we handle airfare. It's completely up to you. After you've got your deposit and, we've gotten the airfare and everything, my main form of communication is email. And it just cracks me up that we're an online company or an online club, and I send out emails, and a lot of people, I never check my email. And I'm like, well, that's where I send stuff. So that's the number one thing. Anything important is going to come to your email address. If you're using a spam address, which I have a lot of those, send me the one that you actually look at more often. I'm not going to use it for junk. I am only going to use it for the trip that you have signed up for. So don't be afraid to give me your best email address. I also, and this is optional, I always make a Facebook page for every group. And the reason I do, and I know not everybody's on Facebook, and that's why nothing crucial is going to be only on Facebook. You'll get an email about it. But the thing I like about the Facebook page is it gives you a place to interact with each other. I'll send you an invitation, and then you can say, hey, does anybody else want to go to the knitting museum in Helsinki? And so maybe somebody's a knitter, and they'll say, oh, I can't wait, I'm all over it, I'll go with you, so it just gives us kind of a place to and also a place for me to share pictures and things that are kind of too big to email. So that's one thing we do, is that. Now, right before, after our final payments are in, I usually get the documents. A lot of places still give us the nice documents, the little books and everything. And some are, we can do electronic too. If you live in the Chicago area, or you're going to be in the Chicago area, I have a party at my house. I have a really big patio, and I'm going to show you some pictures of what dog parties can look like. And so I have room, for 20 to 30 people in my house. And I usually, if I have the party, it's like for France, we had croissants and French tarts and stuff like that. So I try to, and then when we went to Bhutan, I tried to have some regional cuisine, and it's kind of it's just a fun thing to get together. For those that can't make it to the dock party, we have a virtual dock party. And now with Zoom, which is kind of new to me since COVID, I will have a dock party on Zoom for out of towners. And then we'll go over everything. By the time you get to the gate, you will be very ready for whatever is coming your way. I will have a specific packing list, because who knows what you wear on it. A lot of people don't know how to dress for a safari, or for going to a Middle Eastern country where, you might have to be a little more modest, or the Arctic, and Antarctica. Do I have to bring a big coat? No, I always make sure they include that in the tour. So they give it to you when you get there. That takes up the whole suitcase. What about boots? No, they provide those. So I'm going to give you a detailed packing list, and I'll tell you what kind of converter you need, because chances are the electricity won't be the same. But all those little things that, I have to tell you, I use the packing list myself. I'm just OCD enough that I think, what if I forget something? So I take that packing list and I check it off too. What about extra memory? What about, a portable charger? What about this? What about that? Sometimes we go to places where there isn't very good Wi-Fi, or, we're going to be gone all day. I also provide, most times, if we're on a tour we're going to have one vehicle to ourselves the whole time, I'll give you a bus bag, and I love decorating stuff, so I'll put your name on it. And then that way you can just leave it on the bus. And if you don't want to use it, it won't hurt my feelings, but it's just something else that you can have. And they're like little string backpacks. So there's a lot of little things I like to do, and then if you are on my flight, then let's say you're at O'Hare, I'll meet you at the gate, and we have a little party at the gate. I really like to celebrate traveling. I'm so excited. I am like, you should see, I had someone make me a mask that matches my polka dotted suitcase, because I am that missing travel so much. So anyway, I try to make it a lot of fun. I mean, the thing is, the curiosity of travelers is contagious. And I think, laughing and having fun, and our group is so inclusive. When you go on a trip, there's going to be downtime, and that downtime you can use for me time, or you can say, hey, I really want to go to a Thai restaurant. Does anybody else want to go? And while we're all together, that's when I say, okay, what's everybody doing tonight? And then people can say what they're doing, and you're welcome to go with all of them. You have an invitation with everyone. So that's how we do that. Let's see here. Once we land somewhere, I always have a local guide there that speaks the language, that meets us at the airport, gets us to our first place, so that we can have fun and not have to worry about all that. I talked about how I always add in some flair. So that's pretty much how the trips work. Any questions on that part before I move to the next part? And there really isn't that much more to go, to be honest with you. I was going to show you some pictures because I think, they're fun. Anybody have any questions about how the trips work? Yes, Pam.
I just have a question on, so when you assign rooms,
Mhm.
you assign somebody with you. What if there's not enough of, say, a female or a male?
Well, I give males the priority on the singles. Singles cost extra.
Sure.
Yeah. And,
What about,
okay,
so
sorry.
what if there's an odd number of females then?
There's an odd number. Sometimes I'll shack up with them. Otherwise, you know what? I haven't had that problem, to be honest
Oh,
with you.
okay.
Beginning, I just was like a free agent and I just waited to see who didn't have a roommate. And then I snuck in and just said, guess what? But normally I get a single now because with all the logistics I'm doing, it kind of gives me a chance to, because I'm not the best roommate anymore sometimes, especially if it's a bigger group, you know, because I'm kind of in 20 places at once. So, but we do have a local guy that's really in charge of us. I'm more of a hostess, you know, but I do field a lot of stuff. Odd numbers, yeah. I cross that bridge when I get to it. I don't usually have that problem.
Okay.
I give men priority on the singles though. Some companies are so stingy with singles. So men get priority because, I mean, you can see here, well, we have a good man turnout. Usually the trips are 80% women, just to let you know. And there are and then there's some people that snore, some people, you know, and they're like, I want a single. I don't want to keep somebody up all night. And I have one lady that's deaf. She goes, give me a snore. And I'm like, once she takes those things out of her ears, she can't hear anything. So it's like a match made in heaven. I'm like, I have the roommate for you, you know? So I try to put a lot of thought into the roommates and people make friends, you know, and the roommate really, as long as you're respectful of each other, it's just, you know, once you get back to the group, you know, you have so many choices of stuff. So anyway, so that's how I handle that. And if I did come to that situation, I would probably invite one more person to go, or I give up my single and share with that person. Yeah. Yep. Anybody else? No more questions? Oh, yes. Yes. Okay. Hold on, Kreutzer. Let me think of your name. Okay, I can't remember.
Mark.
Mark. I'm writing that down.
Something specific like specific dietary restrictions. Do we just work with you on something like that?
Yes, I'm actually a vegetarian 99% of the time, except on Christmas. I have family lasagna. So yeah, I dietary restrictions. Some people have CPAP machines. I have a lot of vegetarians. I have a couple of gluten-free. I have a girl that's so allergic to tomatoes that, you know, it's just unbelievable. So yeah, so I work with you on that. Yeah.
Very good. Thank you.
And I actually let the vendor, you know, whatever the tour company is, I ask them to warn the tour leader that we have dietary needs. And that's one of the first things I do when we get there. I go with the tour guide to make sure he has the right name. And you know,
Appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah. Some countries it's hard. I found it very hard in Iceland to be a vegetarian. I don't even eat fish. And it was, you know, slim pickings. So, you know, we do the best we can. A lot of times there'll be a buffet. I was surprised Africa was so good, but you know, there are a lot of things in Africa and a lot of vegetarian. So that was nice. They had a whole vegetarian buffet for the Hindu. Any other questions? We also talk about the money and everything and where you can get it. I usually want you to start so that I don't have to stand in line. And okay, I share a screen of a little slideshow that's not the greatest, but I put it together. Some of it is about you know, what a dock party looks like. The other one is one time we did an Italy one, and we you know, have fake mustaches. It's really not pretty. So oh, I see it chat here. Okay, the audio interference. Andy, I'm going to mute you because there's a lot of static on your line. So when you're ready to say something, you can unmute. Okay. Wait, let me unmute you. Oops. Andy. Okay. Well, you don't have to unmute right now, but yeah, we had one lady at a Zoom meeting that had a dog that wouldn't stop barking, and you know how Zoom is, it goes right to the noise. Wherever he'd hear something, that gets the floor. So yeah, thank you for that. Got it. Let's see. Anybody else have a question? Just put your hand right here. Carol, do you have a question?
Yeah, this is a general question for travel with COVID. Do you see Europe international travel opening up? What are you seeing right now?
A lot of things opening up right now. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what is one problem that we had to cancel was a country that required a negative COVID test when you got there, or no, when you left, a negative COVID test when you arrived. You had to stay at their hotel overnight until they got the results. Then you went from that hotel on to your next 3 days later, they tested you again. Now, all these chances for you to get a positive thing. Then if you're quarantined in this particular country, it's at your own expense and, not good. So, so that has been a thing up until now, which is why we canceled everything through May. All of our trips we had fabulous trips this year, all canceled, either rescheduled or going to be rescheduled. Yes, Chip, you're on mute.
Have you heard anything about vaccine passports?
That's what they're working on right now. And I am hoping, because I just got my first vaccine, I am hoping that once you're fully vaccinated, make sure when you get your vaccine, you get all the documentation, because my hope is that by the end of May, even maybe early May, that they will take a vaccine passport, your proof, just like you have the little yellow CDC card that had all your vaccines. If you've gone to, to Africa, places like that where you needed yellow fever or you needed whatever, I'm hoping that they will accept that in lieu of a negative COVID test, because that would be a relief to everybody, because everybody's fear is that they're going to land somewhere, test positive, and then they're stuck there quarantined at their own expense, all alone. And that's what people are afraid of. So the vaccine passport is going to be a big key to it. Our next trip is actually the Mongolia trip, which I kind of was about ready to just throw in the towel and say, forget it. Because it's Mongolia and Siberia. And I thought, Mongolia doesn't need a visa. Siberia does. So I'm just about ready to chop off Siberia and add it to when we do Russia, because I really want to go to Star City. I love NASA and stuff like that. But I'm ready to chop that off and do fully Mongolia, because Mongolia shut its borders right away. They have had 2 COVID deaths. They're opening for tourism May 1st. There's not a big population there. They're going to be fully vaccinated, according to them, by May 1st when they open. It's an open air trip. In other words, we're going to be in the Gobi Desert. We're going to be outside. So this would be a good first trip for us to do, and then we're going to one country. So we're not going to have to get a test to go into another country. Right now, this year, we're better off sticking with one country trips. I usually try to piggyback whatever is nearby. I'm not doing that this year because it's just too tricky. So, I don't have a crystal ball, but I'm seeing glimmers of hope. So I'm hoping Mongolia goes, because I'm just about ready to, I need a change of scenery. If it doesn't go, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. It'll be the first time I've ever done a domestic trip, and I'll probably do some kind of Yellowstone thing, the Wild West, and it will be, yeehaw, giddy up, I'll be all in. So that's the worst case scenario. Best case scenario, off to Mongolia. Yes, Chip. You're muted.
I'm happy to see that the average elevation of the Gobi Desert is 206 feet lower than my house.
Well, then you got to come with us. Jamie, you just got here. Hello, Jamie.
Yeah.
So now
how are you? Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you too. We just went over how to sign up for trips and everything. And I forgot what city. Are you in northern suburbs?
I'm in Pewaukee, Wisconsin, but also in Cali. So I go back and forth.
Okay. All right. Any questions from you about how the trips work?
No. Terry filled me in a little bit, so I think I have the
okay.
foundation done.
Yeah, it's pretty easy. First, you've got to RSVP, yes, and then you call us. Those are the two keys. And then from then on, we tell you the rest. So it's pretty easy, yeah. And I know the other thing I was going to tell you is that, before we go, we tell you about tipping and all that stuff, what the guidelines are. We talk about the voltage, any cultural taboos, like in some countries showing the bottom of your foot is bad. In some countries doing this is not good. Pointing in some countries is an insult. So we try to find all that stuff. Can you drink the water? Usually no. Well, for the weird places. And then how we communicate during the trip is we use that WhatsApp app, because it uses a fraction of the data of anything else. And most of our hotels have Wi-Fi. And if it's a European or a more mainstream trip, we usually have Wi-Fi just about everywhere. So we're able to communicate. And it's great for me if there's a last minute change. I'll make a group text on WhatsApp. And then that way, let's say we were supposed to meet at 6 a.m, but something happens and the guide tells me, he goes, hey, we don't need to get up that early. They can be there at 7:30. Then that night, you're going to get a message from me saying, good news, the new meet time is 7:30, something like that. And so, or at night, when everybody's going to go out to dinner, it's a nice way to link up with each other too. You can say, hey, does anybody want to go out for Italian? The lobby at 6. And then boom, boom, boom. I'll be there. I'll see you there. So it's a useful communication tool that's cheap, and the app is free, and it's pennies to use. So I do that. Of course, as the leader of the group, I have I use my phone just like I do here, no matter where I am. So if you need just me, you can just text me if you want, if it's an emergency, and I have no problem with that. You could call me. I don't care. I'm using my out of control phone bills. It's just a fact of life. So anyway, let's see. And then we talked about the online forums. Facebook is an easy one for me to plot. It's not mandatory, but I always set up a page if you want a place to go. And like, if you spend as much time on Facebook as I do, which is embarrassing, but then you'll sometimes I'll see something and it's not critical, but I'll put it on there. I'll say, hey, there's an iguana park where you can sit on a bench and get covered up with iguanas. This looks fun. And so it's just a place to put weird things like that about the trip. So anyway, so that's pretty much it about the trips. Other things that the meetup, because of COVID, we tried in the fall, we got together in face-to-face a few times at a forest preserve that had a covered pavilion. Well, then the weather got cold, so that was no longer an option. So to kind of keep us engaged, and then we had our monthly, just an update saying, okay, now this trip is moved to here and that trip is moved to there, and blah, this has been canceled. This is what's going on with that. And so we've had the update meetings, but we also have started, or I've also started a couple of things. One is Trip Flicks, which is travel and adventure movies. Just something. They're Monday they're twice a month on a Monday night, and they're fun. Discovering movies that I made a long time ago, but not through the lens of a traveler. And they're thought provoking, and it's like, wow, I really want to go here now. Or anyway, so we've been having. So I'd love to see people there. The discussions are fun. It's also a good way to get to know your other travelers. So that's one thing. And then I love trivia, and the weirder the better. And so, I learned so much from it that I'll do usually once a month, on a Thursday, I'll do a trivia quiz. And they're just, 3 rounds. It's not trivia night where you're committed from, 6:30 at night until midnight. It's not at all like that. It's like an hour. And it's, things like, in what country are black cars outlawed, and weird stuff like that. And these are real things. And then, I put in a few, and there's usually a theme. So I encourage you to come to those. Those are fun.
What is the answer to that question?
You know what? I can't remember, but I have it here. As soon as I said it, I thought, oh, he's going to ask. It might be, it's one of Tajikistan or something like that. Chip, you're muted. Chip.
It's Turkmenistan.
Turkmenistan, thank you. Yeah, thank you. That is correct. So, yeah, and, but white cars and silver cars are okay, but you can get a ticket and they make you, you paint it a different color. So that was kind of crazy. Anyway, yes, Chip.
It's great to have two screens because you can Google and Zoom at the same time.
Oh, I was pretty impressed. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, very cool. Okay, so anyway, so I encourage you to come to those. If you're home a lot, it's just kind of fun. Here it's been. Pritzker locked us down on March 20th, I think it was, and was it March 20th or April? Yeah, March 20th, and I have. In Chicago, snow, sleet, rain, or hail, I have left my house every morning and walked at least 3 miles a day every day since then. I'm coming up on my 1-year anniversary. Some days 3 miles, some days 4, some 5, some 6. I'm going to walk the Camino Trail in September, just the last 100 kilometers so I can get that certificate. And anybody's welcome to join me. It's not a group trip, but I just thought, you know what, it was from TripFlix. We watched a movie called The Way, and it was all.
I was on that. Yeah, I remember when you did that.
Yeah, it was all about, and I thought, that I walked so much, I thought, boy, that scenery is a lot better than what I got here. It's along the coast of northern Spain. And it was a cheap trip. It was just, a little over $2,000. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to go. And I don't care if I go alone or not. And so I signed up for it. And one other person did the same thing. She goes, I'll go. And I'm like, good. We each got singles because she likes to have a single. And I thought, I like a single. So anyway, so that's September 5th. If you want to meet me in Madrid, that's what I'm doing. It's just a 10-day trip. But I thought, you know what? It's good exercise. It's outdoors. It's somebody else carries our bag, not like in the movie where you have to, carry a tent with you. I'm doing it the easier way. But anyway. So yeah, so the TripFlix has been inspirational, and it's got me to sign up, to do something outside of my comfort zone. Anyway, on that note, any more questions? I'm going to go ahead and show you some pictures just so you can see some of the things that we do. And the beginning of it is going to be at my house at doc parties. We call them doc parties. It stands for document party, because a lot of times I get like, a box of paper documents and booklets. And so I kind of organize them. I put a little, and if you're not in town, I mail it to you. But it's nice to distribute them all at once with the little bus bag and then get to see people. So I'm going to share that right now, what that looks like. And here we go. And share. Now let's see if I get this going here. How we roll. I got to go back. All right. Let me make it full screen first of all. Of course, that thing is covering my button. There we go. Okay. Oh, these are some good pictures. I'm going to start at the beginning here. Let's go back. Oh yeah. Okay, okay. Let's get to the very front of the line here. Here we go. Okay. Well, there's clearly Machu Picchu, which we have done that one a couple of times, and we'll do it again. I'm going to move you guys over so I can see it. And this is actually, see this picture of me right here on the camel? That was in Morocco. And we're doing Morocco for the 3rd time. It just got canceled. But we did a day trip into the desert on these camels. It was beautiful. I'm actually wearing that shirt right now. Yeah. So, and then let's see here.
Day trip from Spain?
No, this one we did fully Morocco. Yeah, we did Spain on it. There's just so much to see in Morocco that I wanted fully Morocco. I wanted to see, and we're doing that exact same trip. It's the cheapest trip we've ever done. It's like $1,100, 10 nights. You start in Casablanca. And then I found in an American Airlines magazine that a woman from the United States opened a Rick's Cafe, and she gutted it and had it made it look just like Rick's Cafe in the old movie Casablanca. And so I contacted her by email and I said, I'd like to have our farewell dinner, because we began and ended Casablanca, at your restaurant. So she made a menu for us, and, she had the piano player play, what's that song? Not a dream, it's just a dream. As time goes by, that song. Anyway, so that was pretty fun. And the trip goes all the way through the Atlas Mountains. It goes to Fez, Rabat, the capital, to Ouarzazate, which is where we jumped off to do this, Irfoud. It was really, really a very cool trip. I can't believe the price to this day, and it's still cheap. So that's that. This is my downstairs. That's me. This is the French party that I had. Okay, I'm probably gonna have too many pictures. This is an example. This was the French party. And when I have a party, I love party favors, and here's bus bags. And then that particular trip, I got a bunch of berets and we took a picture with berets on. And you can see we all look adorable. So that was that, all French food, you know, croissants. And all right, next was, then we did a Bhutan dark party. And their flag is orange, so I just did everything orange because I couldn't think of anything else. And one of the people that was going volunteered to do a tasting menu of all the Bhutanese food. So that was fascinating. We did that. And then I had, we try to go to Italy every year or every other year. And what I'd like to do now is most people have been to Rome, Florence, and Venice. So I like to take a regional approach, like what Stanley Tucci is doing. We've been doing that forever. And then we can tack on stuff. But yeah, so that's an example of a party at my house. And oh, I went the wrong way. Oh, for goodness sakes. All right, so there we go. We're just gonna let her play. Okay, this is gonna go by fast. I have it set. Yeah, so you can just see. Okay, they're caught up. The tasting menu. Keep going. Italy. Yeah, I thought those mustaches were a good idea. Then we went to Japan. Yeah, we did a lot of stuff there. Little trinkets I pick up along the way. Gathering. Then at the gate, I usually have another little surprise for you. These are the elephants I was telling you about. Oh my God. And we always do regional stuff. We made croissants. We love the food wherever we go. These are just some cool places that we ate in that restaurant. I had our welcome breakfast or our welcome dinner there, snow monkeys. Okay, this thing is going really fast. There I am with my matching thing. Okay, now it repeats. So I'm going to stop sharing. And where is that button up here? Okay. Anyway, so that is pretty much, I see we have somebody new here, Adele Atwa. Hello. You're muted. There you are. Welcome.
Welcome. Hello, welcome everybody.
Yes, we're just kind of finishing up here, but in 10 minutes we've got a group that's going to be for everyone, and you know, kind of a get to know you thing. And I'll go over some of the trips, what we're doing on that. Having seen the photos, does anybody have any questions or things they would like me to add to our agenda? I'm open for ideas, people.
And I need to log off. I'm sorry, but I wanted to say thank you again for all the terrific information.
Thank you, Mark. I'm glad.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Enjoy your night. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. You too. Bye. All right. So,
yeah, and this is Denise. I'm not going to be able to join the next meeting because I have a conflict.
Okay.
But very useful information. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, thank you. All right. Well, thanks for coming. All right, Pam?
Yeah, quick question. Did the other two leaders have as much experience as you do, the Terry and Regina?
You know what? No, I started all this, and actually, they're both very good. And but I started this 5 years before either of them got here. So I've kind of trained both of them. Terry originally was in my meetup. And after a few years, she would drive to my meetings from Wisconsin. And she said, you know, I would like to start one like this in Wisconsin. And I thought, okay, well, you know what, that's far enough away. I'm not going to shoot myself in the foot, you know. And so I helped her get started. So I think
can tell you're from Illinois.
What?
You don't say Wisconsin normal.
Oh, no, I don't.
You say Wisconsin, or I don't know how
yeah, Wisconsin. Yeah.
It's funny to me. I'm sorry.
That's good. I like it. I always think that the Midwest, Chicago doesn't have an accent, that everybody else has an accent, but we're like the, you know, the true English. So, well, American English. Anyway, so yeah, but they're all very, very good. You know, I would go anywhere with any of them. It's the different personalities. Terry's a little bit lighter touch. Regina is also a little bit lighter touch. Lynette and Kelly. Kelly is probably more like I am, a little more crazy and outgoing. And Lynette is really good. She's really organized. I mean, when she's on a trip with me, I tap her and go, well, what do you think about, what do you got today? We all of a sudden we have a hole in our day that I'd like to fill. And she's just she's an emergency nurse. So she's used to crisis. So, inevitably when you travel, something is going to go wrong. While I've got you here, let me tell you a story of exactly that. We were on a cruise and we were doing the Greek islands with an overnight in Istanbul. And my suitcase broke immediately. And so I needed a new suitcase. And I knew we were going to be in Istanbul overnight. And I've spent a lot of time in Istanbul, so I really didn't need sightseeing. I thought, I'll just go to the Grand Bazaar and get a cheap suitcase for the rest of the trip. So now 5 other women were with me, and they're like, I don't want to do anything either, because they were with me when I went to Istanbul earlier. We did a trip just to Istanbul. So we'd already done everything. And so I said, okay, as soon as we get off the boat, we're going to get a cab, and we're going to go to the Grand Bazaar. I'm going to get my big suitcase, and we'll do a little shopping and get back to the boat. Well, trying to find a cab big enough for all of us was a challenge. And I said, okay, we're going to have to get a minivan. So the boats don't wait for you typically. So I'm trying to get a van, and it's like, finally one girl goes, oh, there's one. And it was at the stoplight. And I said, oh, good. I go, come on, everybody, come on. And I opened the door and I said, do you speak English? And the guy goes, and I said, okay, good. I said, Grand Bazaar. And he goes, so he understood where we wanted to go. And I thought, oh, phew. Everybody get in. So we all get in, and I sat down. I was like, oh, thank God. And then I'm looking around, and I was right behind the driver's seat, and I looked, and there's no meter. He's got junk mail all over the seat of his front seat. And I turned around, I said, Mary, is this a taxi? And she goes, it's a minivan. And I was like, well, that's not always the same thing. And so I thought, oh my God. And then my first thought is, oh, he's going to mug us, and then I looked at us and I thought, well, there's no way, we outnumber him. And so then I thought, oh, he's just like this driving to the Grand Bazaar. So I said, everybody give me $5. So we all put in $5, and I just sat there. And then when we got to the Grand Bazaar, he stopped, and I gave him, $5. It was like 30 bucks. I handed it to him, and he's like, okay. And then he got out, and I'm sure he's telling his version of this story still too. And we're like, oh my God. So we pretty much rode with a perfect stranger. We stole his car and drove. But funny things like that can happen on trips. And then sometimes there's a little bit of a problem. Like you get to a hotel, or along the way, there's a hotel change. And they'll say, well, that hotel, we're changing to this hotel. And it's like, well, I researched that hotel and I know everything to do with that hotel. And so now I'm in the mode where I have to change things. And an example of that would be in Bhutan. We were going to go to this one hotel that was, they had a spa. And so everybody was going to do spa stuff, and they had a garden, and they had all these amenities for people to do. Well, now we're going out to one that's in the middle of pretty much nowhere. And it was like, oh, now what? So I'm online trying to find something. And I actually found river rafting, just kind of floating by all these old temples and things. And I told my guide, I said, can you call them and see if we can do this? And I thought, and I said, and I want you to see if you can get us to that other hotel for people that had their hearts set on massages or pedicures or whatever. And so he and I worked together, and we made a menu of activities on the fly. And then at dinner that night, I always bring clipboards, and I had a clipboard, and I said, okay, I said, I've got, good news. If you really want a massage or a pedicure, you can get one. But I found something else that I think that might be fun too. And it's this river raft. And it was just, we got there, we put on these ridiculous things, and we all got in these rafts. And it wasn't white water, no experience necessary. And we kind of floated down, and our guides were fat. They were these young guys. And it was just a nice surprise. So sometimes something goes wrong, and we try to make lemonade out of lemons. And so that's another example of how, things change, while you're during the trip. So anyway, but back to, can everybody do what I do? Yes, the other leaders, you know, they know how to do that stuff too. So I wouldn't have any reservations traveling with any of them. People tend to have a favorite, but to me, it's the destination. You know, pick a place based on where you want to go, because that is going to be the same no matter who you're with. So, yes.
I noticed that some of your trips seem to have staggered groups going.
Mhm.
Yeah, can you talk
Like
about
Silk Road? Yeah, Silk Road in South Africa. What happened with South Africa? That was my baby. I wanted to do South Africa. And so we launched it. And then I wanted to do a guerrilla trek afterward. So we had, you know, I said, okay, I'm going to launch all the 2020 trips. I think, yeah, it was for last year. I'm going to launch all the 2020 trips on Friday at 6 in the morning. So there was only 23 spots for that trip. Well, at 6:30 in the morning, everybody set their alarms and Meetup crashed because everybody went there at once and 75 people got in, confirmed. And it was like, now what do I do? So I spent my whole weekend contacting the vendors saying, you know what, I have 75 people. You can't do that in one thing. You know, you're doing a safari. So I got a second group set up. And I asked Terry, I said, Terry, because she'd been to South Africa, so that wasn't really as high on her list. I said, will you lead a second group? And she said, yes. And then I asked Regina, and I said, Regina, will you lead a second group? And she said, yes. Lynette had already done that trip, and Regina already did that exact trip. But it was one of her favorites. She said, I'll happily do it again, as long as I can add something to it that I haven't done before. And I said, well, add Botswana. And so that's how we ended up with 3. Well, then the people that wanted to do the guerrilla trek, you know, we kind of got an overflow on that. And so then I said to Terry, I said, Terry, you want a guerrilla trek? She goes, of course I do. So then we added another guerrilla trek. And so that's kind of how that, hey, Lynette, I'm adding, hello, I'm explaining how we ended up with 3 South Africa trips that Meetup crashed. So that was, that was crazy. And then for Silk Road, I thought, okay, the Silk Road fascinates me, you know, just, you know, Uzbekistan, all those little countries, Uzbekistan, Tajikistan. And I thought, I want to go through there and I want to stay in a yurt one night. One night's all I need. You know, bragging rights, you know, just to see what it's like. I want to see the 2-humped camels, you know, because I love animals. And I want to see all these bazaars and all these different, you know, it just is fascinating to me. So I put together the trip and I thought, I hope somebody goes with me. And I thought, what if nobody wants to do that? And I thought, well, we'll see. Well, of course, it filled up on that same fateful day. Too many people signed up. So I had to do 2 of them. And that's why I have a group. And Regina, when I was putting it together, because we were in the same office at that time, she's going, oh, that sounds so fun. And she goes, I'm watching a show about Genghis Khan, or I don't know, somebody on my history. I learn as I go, you know, I'm reading these Steve Berry books and it's like, oh, come on. As soon as it goes into italics, I'm like, no. Anyway, but I rather learn by touch, you know, and feel. So anyway, so that's how we ended up with so many of those trips. And we were just talking about leaders, Lynette. I said how great you are. Lynette, go like this.
Thank you. That's me. Oh.
Okay, there we go. Yeah. Anyway, so that's that. Okay. I packed my dinner. If you can't tell, it's a Twizzler.
That's sad.
I think it's delicious. Actually, I would rather it be a Snickers, but that's the other thing. If you're on a group with me, you can fly me with Snickers, Oreos, just about any form of candy. And then I'll be your friend for life. Robin has a whole problem with Oreos too. And we were in, where was that? Armpit of the Indonesia. What was that? Java. We were in Java and I came across a store that actually had Oreos, you know, and it was like, oh my God, I was so excited. I bought it and hid it. And then he and I always get singles and he was next door. So I knocked on the door and he goes, what? And I just handed him a sleeve of Oreos. He goes, thank you. And shuts the door. And it's like I was doing a drug deal. It was pretty fun. Anyway, please for my downfall. Oh, it's 6:02. Okay. Well, as you probably noticed, right before this, we had a newcomer meeting, which was really cool because we have people from Arizona, from Wisconsin, from the northern suburbs, from downtown Chicago, from all over the place. Minneapolis, St. Paul, a couple of people from there. Slinger, Wisconsin. Anyway, so
Slinger.
yeah.
Who's from Slinger? Oh, hey Pam.
Yeah.
I live right off of 164.
I have
I'm right
family in
off of
Slinger.
164 too. I'm right off of 164 too.
Yeah, I'm in Pewaukee though.
Yeah,
I grew up on Big Cedar Lake.
You're on Big Cedar?
We're just
That's
lousy.
right by me.
Well, I'm not there anymore, but that's where we spent our summers.
Nice.
May I introduce Barb Perlowitz, the legend?
The legend.
My roommate for Antarctica, I hope.
Awesome. That's a great trip.
And you're going in December?
I did that exact trip before. Yeah.
I'm still looking at it. If Master Pizza gets canceled because it's G Adventures,
Yeah.
I'm just going to take my credit. They'll probably give me 10% and I'll just get
Yeah.
in that group.
That trip is awesome. I did the kayaking, which turned out to be a career. I wouldn't have done it if I'd have known that. However, I was not an experienced. I have kayaked twice before that. Once on Lake Como. Yeah, this is my experience. And then once we were in Fiji, and it was the kind you just stand on the beach and then you sit on it and kind of push yourself up. So that was my experience. But the person that signed up with me it was also her experience as well. As soon as we went to the first meeting and they said, you know, this is for experienced kayakers, blah, blah, blah. I looked at her and I said, I think, get out of here. And she goes, we're experienced. And I'm thinking, well, you know what? How hard can it be? It's a little boat. You sit in it. What do you and paddle? Big deal. So we stuck it out, and we were the worst ones at it by far. But it was amazing to kayak and then have these penguins. They were like little torpedoes popping out of the water. And anyway, it was. I'm very glad I did it. And then the other thing with that Antarctica trip, which is why I chose that trip for this group, I set that one up, was because they actually let you camp overnight on the ice, and it's not comfortable, but you have your little tent they set up. I have a picture of it, and it doesn't get dark because the sun is up all the time, and all night long you hear. It's like sleeping in a chicken house with a lot of really loud chickens. It is, the penguins are squawking and squawking and squawking. So it really, you know, and like my roommate pitched a fit. She's like, why are we doing that? I'm like, you know what? Just do it, you know. And then they have to bring in